congratulations, because that is an unbelievable achievement. I'm delighted for him on a personal level.
Is there a big buck coming?
There is a big buck coming.
Okay,
Arteta doesn't really care about the boy.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I think that's a really poor, decision. I do, because it's about Arteta. It's all about Arteta. I have the manager that played the youngest ever player in the Premier League is me. I think that's self-indulgent. And when I saw the kid on the bench, I remember thinking to myself, it's great for him there being on the bench. I was on the bench at 17, right? First time I was on the bench, right?
Yeah.
So I never got on. But I remember being on the bench. So I'm thinking, so what a brilliant experience for the kid, right?
Yeah.
And when he's warming up and coming on, I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. This has got nothing to do with the kid. Nothing to do. This is all about Arteta. All about him, self-indulgent. Look what I've done. I've given the youngest ever player his appearance in the Premier League, and I don't think this has got anything to do with anything else other than that, and I think it's a really poor decision.
Look, Jason Cunley's entitled to his opinion, as we all know. And maybe it's a slow news day. Maybe it's because a lot of the media outlets have lost their Arsenal cash cow. Arsenal are playing well. They've been the best team in the league. They are motoring towards, in some people's opinions, potentially a title race. Arteta has proven a lot of us wrong. I didn't think he'd ever get a team to win this many games in the opening period of the season. I didn't think he'd survive last campaign. You put your hands up, you wipe your mouth, you say, I was wrong, and you move on. But what I'm noticing from a lot of the mainstream media, instead of saying, wow, don't Arsenal look good? Do you know what? Maybe Arteta has proven me wrong. Maybe, just maybe, I need to put a little bit more respect upon their name. They are now clutching at the proverbial straw, trying to find something to discredit, attack, and diminish Arsenal with. Now, this young lad, Ethan, the youngest player in the history of the Premier League, making his debut at 15. The kind of nonsense I've seen from pundits about it, it's all about Arteta, it's no good for the boy. I mean, I'm going to play Danny Mills in a minute. It's crazy. The agenda TalkSport have got, and a lot of other outlets, is crazy. Now, unless you are a Spurs fan, unless you are a very tribalistic, bitter rival at this moment in time, or you've got nothing else to talk about, being angry about a club giving an extremely talented young 15-year-old a chance and an opportunity and some experience is an absolute madness to me. Let's take a look at what Danny Mills has got to say, though, and I'll continue. By the way, smash like buttons, leave your comments below.
And the logic behind it, the thinking behind it, a gut feeling. I think he'd only made his under-21 debut this season. So it's not like he's been playing regularly in that. He's obviously still in school as well. How do those Arsenal under-21s, good academy, good setup, second in the table right now, playing well. How do those midfielders feel that have been playing well for the 21s?
You hear that? I've got to stop him. I can't actually let the guy continue talking. And the reason that I say I can't continue to let him keep talking isn't me trying to have a dig, isn't me trying to be rude. It's, what do you mean, how are those other individuals playing? One, footage has come out across social media of multiple levels of Arsenal fans from the under-9s up celebrating, congratulating him. Players from all levels of Arsenal, well done. We knew you had this in you. Congratulations to getting it done. And if Danny Mills or Jason Cunley did any sort of research before making these statements, and by the way, this isn't someone who's bitter. I've built a self-built platform. 4 or so million people a month listen to what I've got to say. Very happy with it. It's given me, due to you lot, I've got a very comfortable life. But I kind of look at this, it's not a bitter comment here. Trust me, I earn more money than, I would say, 95% of the people that work on TalkSport through speaking about football. So there's no bitterness here. So I'm putting that out there to prove there's no bitterness. This is the biggest sports network in the country, one of the biggest in Europe in terms of having conversations about sport. The lack of research that has gone into this is embarrassing. I mean, it should be Ofcom reportable. Ofcom reportable. It took me, I don't know much about this young lad because I'm not an Arsenal fan. So am I encyclopedically researching their academy? No, I'm not. When I hear about someone, I'll then research about them. And what I've read, what I've been told, what I've heard, and that's listening to podcasts in the last 24 hours, reading scouting reports, and then just doing your own research across other outlets. Various people have claimed that there are not many 15-year-olds in the past 10 to 20 years that have got the ability of this young man. He was given an opportunity to sit on the bench. I think, as Jason Cundy said, good experience, well done. When the game's 3-0 to Arsenal, with a very small amount of time left, complete control of the game, that is the perfect opportunity to give a young player their chance, their opportunity, their moment to shine. And the reason that I say that is because I, as a Man United fan, have seen times in the last 3, 4, 5 years where we have a really good, talented youngster on the bench, and you're playing against a smaller team, and you think to yourself, oh, do you know what? Like, I'd love to see this young man come on today and play, but your team's struggling, it's losing, the game's in the balance, and you think, oh, it's just disappointing. He wasn't able to be given his opportunity to come on and shine and have one of those, maybe a Roy of the Rovers moment, maybe just that experience for him, the adulation and the happiness that his family would feel. And I actually went back and then researched all the other youngsters. Now, look, he's 15 years and 5 months, but where was the outrage when Harvey Elliott was given his opportunity? Where was the outrage? I don't remember seeing any. What about Matthew Briggs? I don't remember this kind of attention. Izzy Brown, Aaron Lennon, all these individuals, Jack Wilshere. When Reece Oxford made his start at 16 years of age and absolutely bossed Arsenal at the Emirates, it was lauded. It was praised. It was seen and looked at as, one of the best moments in Premier League history. Oh my God, a young up-and-coming starlet given his debut. I believe that was the opening day of the season. If not, it was very close to the beginning of the season. At the Emirates, he bossed and pocketed Ozil, and it was like, wow, that was sensational. I remember the vitriol when Angel Gomez made his first appearance for Man United. He was the first debutant to be born after the treble success in 99. It was celebrated. When Jack Wilshere made his debut all those years ago, 16 years old he was. Wow, what a star, what a player we've got. And I'm just going to round this off by saying one thing. This is just bitterness and jealousy towards Arsenal Football Club. That is it. The only reason that Danny Mills, the only reason that Jason Cundy are focusing on Arsenal right now is jealousy and frustration. Their clubs that they love are somewhat in the mud, relatively speaking, struggling, getting bantered, a lot of pressure on them. And instead of talking about that, instead of that being their main focus, they are focusing on issues and problems that they've got. Danny Mills, obviously being more of a Man City fan, he's just being bitter. There's no doubt about it. That's what he's doing. Jason Cundy should be focusing on that. I've got some Graham Souness stuff coming up in a minute. He's obviously bitter and should be focusing on other things. But as far as I can see, this is nothing short of bitterness. Absolute bitterness towards Arsenal Football Club. I stand by that 110%. This is a young man who is highly regarded at Arsenal. Lots of top coaches around the youth setup of the game think, wow, he's been playing for the under-18 since he was 14 years of age. He's recently moved up to the 21s and is already regarded as one of the best players. Mikel Arteta, who, whether you love him or loathe him, has done very, very well at Arsenal with the youth players so far, wanted to give him some experience. And then the game in itself prompted an opportunity to give a very young man the chance of a lifetime. And he went on that pitch and he enjoyed himself. You saw the humble nature at the end. He didn't even want to go and clap the fans because he felt like maybe I don't belong here just yet. And he kind of got pushed into it in a nice way by his teammates. And I think it's something that we should be celebrating. Another young working class man given an opportunity. But instead, the media want to rip it down, pull it down, stamp all over it. And it's just becoming boring. It really is becoming boring.
Most of it. But he doesn't know our game because of modern technology. You can Google. He said he was impressed with his knowledge of Brighton and what they've done and the way they attempt to play. Well, they could have got that off Google, most of it.
But it's his business to know the game here, isn't it?
So
They all do, Graham.
Listen, he's going for an interview, so he spends a couple of hours on the internet getting as much information as he possibly can. So that's not the work of a genius. I think it's a risk. I have to say, I think it's a risk bringing someone with his CV, the 7 jobs in 9 years. If you're an outstanding coach, then people want to hold on to you. It's a bit like being a player. If you're a player that had 15 clubs, 12 clubs, that's telling a lot about you. It's saying that people, if they want to keep you, they'll keep you because you're a really good player, a really good type round the place. You get someone. It's like when you spend a lot of money on a football player. You want ideally, you want someone who's played in your league, scored goals in your league, been consistently very good in your league, no surprises, injury free. So they're making an appointment with a manager who has no history of the English game.
But they get Potter from Sweden.
But he's English. He was English, Jim. Doesn't
see this? Look, I've got to stop it there. He's obviously talking about the new Brighton manager, and first and foremost, again, the lack of research on this platform is embarrassing. Is embarrassing. Why did I want to make sure I pronounce his name right? Roberto Di Arzarbi. Why did he leave Shakhtar? Because their country got invaded by Russia. He didn't leave because he was doing badly. He left because of a war. And again, I said it earlier about Jason Cundy deflecting. First of all, 4 Italian managers have won the Premier League. 0. I don't know why I'm doing that, but 0. None. 0 have won the English managers have won the Premier League. This whole knowing our game nonsense is crazy. He could have just Googled. Yeah, he might have Googled a little bit about the history of Brighton before doing an interview. We all do that when we go for interviews with jobs. But to act like this man, okay, what is he? I'm checking his age now. He's 43 years of age, okay? He was a player at, I don't know if he kicked the ball for AC Milan, but he come from the Milan Academy. He played in top leagues in Europe. He's been around football his whole life. To suggest he doesn't understand English football, for me, it's just bigotry. It's just bigotry. Nah, he doesn't know our game. We've got the most famous league in the world, the most popular league in the world, and you don't think he understands it. You don't think he'll talk to people. You don't think he'll garnish very quickly an understanding of the game, even if he didn't know. It's just mental. It's mental. Of course he understands English football. Whether he's going to be a good enough coach or not is a different conversation. But he doesn't know our game. He's not English. What's that got to do with anything? What's that got to do with anything? Look how many managers haven't played or managed in England that have come here and won it straight away. Now, he isn't going to win it. He isn't going to do that at Brighton. But it's an absolute fallacy to suggest that he won't be able to do it. And again, it's another person deflecting, because this is what Graham Souness is really angry about and what he should be focusing on. I'm sorry to do it, but listen, focus on. I want to see. I very rarely see Souness on there digging into his team, digging into his players. Same with Cundy, and that's why for me, I don't trust what they say. No self-awareness whatsoever. Listen, it's a joke today what TalkSport are talking about. They've got some really good people on there that I actually I've looked up to. My kind of since I've moved into this sports world, I've really looked up to some brilliant people. I actually quite like Adrian Durham. I know a lot of people don't. Laura Woods as part of the show. Those two really stand out to me as being phenomenal. Goldstein, I think, is funny and is great. But some of the lack of research, some of the lack of awareness from these guys, and it's mainly the ex-footballers, it's just embarrassing. It really, really is. Smash the like button, leave your comments below, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.